Stage, she's a very funny stand-up, but she's also a very funny storyteller, and I'm really glad whenever she can perform here. So ladies and gentlemen, give me your ears, give me your eyes, put your hands together for Natalie McGill, everybody. Natalie.
So I was in a co-ed honors fraternity when I was in college. And with most extracurricular groups, you have to do a certain amount of fundraising in order to keep your programming going. So the fundraising co-chairs at the time decided, since it was around Halloween, let's volunteer at our local amusement park's Fright Fest. So we carpool, like a bunch of us, like 15 to 20 of us, to our local amusement park. We enter the administrative offices. The first thing that the coordinator says to us when we walk in the doors is, "All right, who's the shortest person in your group?" And now, at the time, it would have been me, but my friend Becky came, who's 5'1", so we just all immediately pointed at her. They drag her away. We don't see her again for the rest of the night. So then they divvy up the rest of us among performing in the haunted house and the haunted train ride. So the haunted train ride was just this tram that went through the park and stopped at scenes of different horror movies acted out by us, the volunteers. So they grab a bunch of us, put us in one of those amphitheaters where they do those cheesy live action shows, and the director is assigning us roles, and he's walking around and he's like, "All right, I have a really good role, but it requires you to not be claustrophobic." And I was thinking, like, claustrophobia is one of those things that you don't know you have until you're, like, really tested on it. So I was just thinking, I was like, well, I do like to sleep in the fetal position. Like, maybe I'm not claustrophobic. Meanwhile, no one else is answering nearly fast enough for this director. So he's basically just pointing at people and just asking them rapid fire, like, "Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it?" By the time I finally realized that I'm indeed not claustrophobic, the guy's already pointing his finger at me, and he's like, "Do you want to do it?" And I'm like, okay, fine. He's like, "Great. You're going to be a medieval wench who's stuffed in a coffin that's set on fire." I was like, "Oh, great, I can't get out of this now." So they take me and two of my friends to this part of the park I had never been to before, and this was our scene. I was a heretic wench who was being sentenced to death by a Catholic priest. So a minion of the Catholic priest is supposed to walk me to the priest, who backhands me, and then puts me on a tray with wheels and slides me into this wooden coffin. And then the priest lights the top of the coffin on fire and is supposed to give the illusion that I'm burning in hell. Now, the guy who walked us out to the scene practiced it with us one time. And then he left three 20-year-olds in the backwoods of an amusement park with a dry rotted wooden box, 3 cans of lighter fluid, and a match, and was like, "All right, you kids have fun." So we didn't really feel super confident about our scene, so we practiced it a couple of more times. And then we hear the train whistle come, and we're like, "Oh shit, it's showtime." So we assume our positions. Everything goes according to plan. The minion walks me out. The priest backhands me. I'm on the tray with wheels, sliding into the coffin, and then I feel the wheels go off the track. So now I'm stuck. Half of my body's inside of the coffin. The other half, the important half with my face, is now facing a train full of disappointed people. And then the train kind of just slowly slides off silently to the next scene. And I'm looking at my two friends and I'm like, wow, that really sucked. Hope that doesn't happen again. It happened again. And again. And again. Then it worked. Then it happened again. We probably did the scene about 10 times. I would say it worked 20% of the time. The other 80% was spent with half of my body inside of the coffin and random strangers yelling from the train that I needed Jesus. I was like, "We need Jesus? Really? You paid $30 for this crap." I submit that you need Jesus. We give you a refund, because we're not giving you more money. We're getting paid to humiliate ourselves out here. So a lot of my friends thought that I had the worst deal out of all our friends that volunteered that night. But oh no. The person that had the worst deal of them all was my friend Becky. Becky, as you recall, was the girl that was dragged out at the beginning of the story because she was the shortest person in the group. And the reason that they needed Becky was because they needed someone to play Rat Girl. Yeah. Rat Girl had to wear an old white wedding dress and lie down in a glass coffin that was wheeled around the park by my two friends. And inside the coffin, a perimeter of white lab rats circled Becky's body. Rats, that I might add, that were extremely horny. And made no apologies about sharing their affection in front of Becky's face. Later, a couple of years later, I would find out that after a while, the rats just kind of gave up on fornicating, and eventually it got so cold outside that they all just huddled together for warmth. So after the night ended, we all went to get dinner at IHOP, and then we all went back to our respective dorms. And so I'm in my dorm, and I'm checking my email. Didn't take the makeup off right away. And then a couple minutes later, I hear the bathroom door slam, and I'm like, oh, one of my roommates is here. And then I got to thinking, I didn't scare anyone all night long. The next person that walks out of that bathroom is going to get scared shitless. So I walk to the bathroom, I post myself outside of the door in like my best scary pose, which is mostly like this. There's a vanity mirror that's between me and the bathroom door. I wait to hear the flush. My roommate walks out. Now, my reflection is in the vanity mirror, so she sees this first. She walks to the mirror, looks at it, doesn't flinch. I was like, are you shitting me? I don't scare anyone all night. Then she turns to look at me, and then does one of these. That's my story.
Yeah!